Hey, this is Tom from Metalheadz. I'm here with Alissa from Agonist. How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Not too bad. Okay, if you could give us like an intro to the band for anyone that doesn't know you.
Well, we are called the Agonist, and we're a metal band from Montreal, Quebec in Canada. And we formed in about 2004, and we're on our second album, working on a third, and currently touring Europe and soon to tour the US.
You're obviously a band with like fairly varied musical influences. What would you say like the main influences on you have been?
I would say it depends, and it changes from person to person and from day to day, month to month, year to year. I guess we influence each other. We also just like to take influence from other bands that we respect. Sometimes bands we tour with end up influencing us, like it's The Haunted or even OTEP or other bands. Just because you tour with them, you see their set every night and you sort of grow an attachment to their music, I guess. Other than that, I guess a lot of European influence, just in the sense that we like a lot of the bands that come out of this area, and that's it.
Okay, so your second album came out last year. It's a fair bit different from the first one. I mean, like, what caused the progression and like the main differences between the two albums?
Well, I think it's not so much different as it's just evolved, because the first album we actually wrote like as demo songs, not even demo songs, they were the first songs we ever wrote when we formed the band. So they were just the songs we had, and then we were like, well, we can make a demo and start shopping it to labels. But then as soon as we recorded it, Century Media heard it and signed it, and they were like, okay, we'll put some more songs on there. So we added in Born Dead, Buried Alive, we added in Business Suits and Combat Boots, and then we released that as our album. So it wasn't really written as an album, it was just like the collection of songs that we had. Like there's not a single other song in the world that's not on that album, except for one song that was released only in Japan. And so when it came to writing Lullabies, we all had touring experience, a lot more years as a band together. So it all sort of made it a lot easier for us to write more of an album rather than just a collection of songs. And so I think that's probably, what made Lullabies the way it is, and what's going to make the next album the way it's going to be too.
Okay, so Lullabies has an a cappella version of Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake, which is a pretty left field kind of thing to put on a metal album. How did you decide to do that?
Well, I guess I've never really paid attention to norms, or really actually even listened to albums and thought that's weird or that's not weird. So I just wanted to do it just because I realized that the operatic singing voice is something that I don't often get to use on our albums. I'll use it in the background, but it's not like I don't actually do Nightwish type vocals like that on any of the songs. And so I figured it would be cool to try to just use them in a sort of segue track. And I really, really like Tchaikovsky, and I really like Swan Lake. Ever since I was a little kid, I liked that song. And so I figured it would be interesting. And at first we were thinking maybe doing it just guitar and vocals, but in the end it just ended up being only vocals, and it worked out. So so that's how that came.
So have you been writing any songs for the next album, or?
Yeah, we have a bunch of songs that are on their way.
So any idea when we can expect, like 2011?
Yeah, definitely 2011, yeah.
So this current tour you're on with Maroon, you've only just got to England, but it's already been quite a long tour. Like, it's been like quite an intense experience, or?
Yeah, I mean, the tour hasn't been that long yet. We've only been on tour for less than a week, so it's been good. I mean, I was a little nervous at first coming overseas because I wasn't sure how it was going to be. Like, I'm used to us being in control. Like, we drive ourselves, we load our gear, we know what's what, we tour manage. So coming here and having like a bus and a tour manager.
First time in Europe?
It's our first time in Europe, yeah. So I was a little nervous, but then when we got here and I found out that like Maroon is all vegan, it made it a lot less stressful for me, because I thought I was going to starve. And then a lot of them they don't drink, so that makes it really easy for me too, not drinking. And so so far it's been really, really easy, actually. Like, a lot less work than touring back home, and pretty good crowd so far. So
obviously mentioned you're vegan and Maroon are vegan. What have the riders been like? Because obviously most people are just like used to going out and buying like normal quote-unquote food. Has been any particular special surprises so far?
It's been real. I mean, I was so surprised that we were actually getting a proper vegan rider every night. Like, oh my god, I'm impressed. I mean, we've been getting like fruits, vegetables, salad, chili, rice, potatoes, tofu, soy milk, peanut butter, like just all sorts of really good stuff. Like,
good.
Yeah, just really, really. Actually, like after this, I'll probably go back and eat some more because it's so good.
Okay, so you're playing the Metal Females Voice Fest with Arch Enemy and Epica. And like, do you think that's maybe a bit gimmicky as far as like getting a bunch of only female vocal bands together, or?
I can see how it could be perceived as gimmicky, but the fact that like Arch Enemy and Epica and such respected bands are participating, and those are not bands that just only rely on the fact that there's like a hot chick, quote unquote, like they're good bands, you know?
Right.
And so the fact that there's really respectable bands participating, and the fact that it's also, it's more of a celebration of the fact that there are female in metal rather than just trying to cash in on or exploit it, because you are actually showcasing all the bands and giving them the opportunity to play to a lot of people that are probably going to like their music, rather than just showing a picture of them or, you know, selling a calendar. So
like, obviously Arch Enemy are playing, and Angela Gosso and yourself have fairly similar vocal styles. I mean, do you ever get compared, and how does that like affect you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like the easiest thing for anyone to do is say like, oh, it's a mixture of Lacuna Coil and Arch Enemy, you know, which is like, you know, I'm not going to complain about that because those are two really good singers, but Angela's a friend of mine and I really respect her, and I did even before we knew each other. I don't think I sound like Arch Enemy or Lacuna Coil, but you know, because I can tell because I write the vocals, like the difference in patterns and stuff, but it doesn't really bother me. I mean, I know that people inherently want to compare to something that they're comfortable with or that they know, so I don't take it as an insult, I'll take it as a compliment. And I mean, when it comes to female metal vocals, you can't really get much better than Arch Enemy, so...
Okay, that's a good point. So you've toured with like a really wide range of different styles of bands.
Yeah.
Is that good for you, or would you rather be touring with fairly similar style bands?
Well, it actually is good for us. I mean, we sort of end up realizing that a lot of the bands that we tour with, even though maybe we'll go into it and we'll be like, okay, we're doing a tour with Arsonist Get All the Girls. I don't know if this is going to work because they're kind of more like a sort of like keyboard electro hardcore thing. It may not fit with us, but then it ends up fitting. Or then, okay, we're touring with OTEP, which is sort of like a spoken word, some new metal parts, some sort of, you know, different core elements to it, but then it works. Or, you know, we'll tour with The Haunted, which is like straight up melodic death, and it works. So, I mean, so far it's been working pretty well, just touring with a lot of different kinds of bands, and for us it makes it more fun too, you know? So I like touring with, you know...
It's good to get out in front of crowds you wouldn't normally get in front of.
Yeah, because I mean, as it is, like, what we hear the most, and it's confusing to us because we don't see it that way, but what we hear the most from the industry people is that we're so confusing and nobody knows where to put us. and so to us it's like, okay, well, you know what? Put us anywhere and it'll work, you know? So that's...
So yeah, 'cause like tonight I noticed with your set that it sounded quite a lot different from the albums, like a lot more stripped down, which I'm guessing is from playing smaller venues with less, you know, technical spec. You can't obviously bring an orchestra with you or whatever you do. So I mean, like that kind of plays well into playing with other bands. Because like tonight I think fitted in quite well with other. I mean, 'cause this is mostly like a post-hardcore kind of.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure actually, because usually we hear that it sounds exactly like the album, and we actually do have samples playing the orchestrations, so I don't know if the sound guy just didn't turn them up or something, but they're there, and the comments that we usually get is that it sounds just like the album. Tonight, though, we did actually take a lot more songs off of Once Only Imagined, because we knew that it was a hardcore-ish crowd, and so we figured, you know what, like, you walk in and you sort of rate the ratio of straight-brimmed baseball caps to long hair and cargo pants, and if the baseball caps win, you throw in the hardcore songs, you know? So that's kind of what we did.
So if you could tour with any band, who would it be?
I don't know how appropriate it would be, but I would love to tour with Muse.